I'm afraid I'm not going to get this person's name right. I don't know whether his name is James Bagge or James Badge. He's known as Jum, I believe, and he is a Conservative, a significant figure in the Norfolk area, and a Deputy Lieutenant, a former High Sheriff of Norfolk, and he lives near Downham Market, and apparently he is poised to challenge Liz Truss if she doesn't step down. He served as an army officer in Northern Ireland, in Cyprus, a criminal barrister, serious fraud squad, and an interesting man. He walked from King's Lynn to Santiago de Compostela, so presumably he's got his seashells, to prove the point. He raised £70,000 to support unpaid carers across Norfolk. So he has a heart. He is a sort of Conservative that I must say we are sadly missing at the moment. And when one considers the present Conservative Party and how it's been taken over by this far-right filth, and how most of them are now resigning: Matt Hancock, Dominic Raab, Michael Gove, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Nadine Dorries, if she finally goes. I mean, Nadine Dorries is like the proverbial, and you flush and it still keeps coming back. But there we are. Badge, if he were to stand as an independent against Liz Truss, I think he would probably win. And although she has a sizable majority, I think there's a lot of people who are not going to vote Conservative in the coming election. They're more likely to vote for nothing, to spoil their ballot papers or simply not turn up, than they are to vote Liberal or Conservative. If they vote for anything, they're Liberal or Labour. They might vote for Liberal. But I think they probably would almost certainly vote for a senior Conservative figure in the area who is standing as an independent. I think it would send a very clear signal. I would certainly be very happy to give him my support in any way that I possibly could, to unseat Liz Truss, she of the ridiculous hand movements, she who brought our country to its knees financially and morally, and who still thinks she can make a comeback by going off and have lessons about hand gestures. Liz Truss needs to recognize hand jobs do not get you another bite of the apple. She's had her chance. She's had her effort, idolizing Kwasi Kwarteng's prodigious package, and that failed. And she's brought disrepute. She brought the entire party, the entire country, to a state of misery, and she's made everyone look foolish. And she should, by rights, have stood down, or be boosted into the House of Lords, where she can be questioned and held to account for her stupidity. In the same way as Boris Johnson should be in the House of Lords so he can be questioned and held to account, rather than running around the place building a pool for newts. In the same way, Nigel Farage, he shouldn't have been offered a knighthood for his efforts with Brexit. He should have been put into the House of Lords, where he can be held accountable. And that's the point. We've got into our minds the idea that being put into the House of Lords is about an ultimate honour. It's about being responsible and being held to account and being there to debate the big issues and provide advice. Because presumably, if Farage is such an authority on Brexit, then he has ideas that we should be taking advantage of. Not to consult him is to live in cloud cuckoo land. Not to consult Boris, the person who said that he was going to get Brexit done. Doesn't matter whether he's a liar. He is also an authority on the things that he did, and he should be held to account. And the only way, the only means that we have to keep track of people in this country who have been the holders of such great positions of state, who have influenced politics in our day so enormously, is to put them in the House of Lords. The country understood that, certainly until the 1960s. That's why former prime ministers were booted into the House of Lords, with the exception of Edward Heath, who was on a perpetual sulk. Look at the character of the individual. Heath didn't want to take responsibility. He wanted to sit in the chamber and make everybody else suffer. That's not something that we should praise. It's not an accolade to see him sitting in the corner, stirring. It's wrong. And he should have seen the writing on the wall and accepted with grace the transfer to the other house. No. I think anybody who stands against Liz Truss and defenestrates her politically is doing a good job. And if this man wants my help in any way, I am here for him.